class with Miss Kris. Today we're going to do something very different and unique. We're going to be making a bull skull, the skull of an animal that has passed. We're going to be looking at an artist today named Georgia O'Keeffe. She's one of the most famous artists. You probably have heard of her. She was born in 1887 and she passed in 1986. She lived 98 years, long life. And most of her life was being an artist. She went to art school. She went to the Art Institute of Chicago. She also went to an art school in New York as well for a little while. And when she was young and studying art and making art, she was the top of her class. And she actually had a friend that said, I want to introduce you to a big time art dealer. An art dealer sells art for large sums of money in galleries. And this man named Alfred Steinlitz, he had an art gallery in New York that people were going to and buying art for lots of money. So she met Alfred and sent some of her art to him, and he found it really interesting, and he gave her her first big art show. That was her break in life. And she actually hit it off with this art dealer really well, and they ended up getting married and having a really exciting life together. So she lived in New York, and she would paint in scenes of New York. But one thing that she was noticing about living in New York, she noticed that everybody was in such a rush. And so she started painting flowers really big, like in your face. And she always said, you know, nobody sees a flower. It's so small. We don't have time. And seeing takes time because New York was so fast paced. So she wanted to do something to draw people's attention to the beauty of a flower. And that's what she did. She made beautiful, huge flowers. And it was a big hit. People loved them. Beautiful, bold colors, bright. So she did that, and she became really famous for that style. And then what happened was her husband was a lot older than her, and he passed. And she loved New Mexico. So she ended up moving there, and she fell in love with the hills. And also, she really, really, really she would find lots of skulls of animals that have passed. And she found beauty in them. She didn't think of them as creepy or anything like that. She thought they were so beautiful. It was like something had walked the earth and lived the earth, and their remnants were so interesting to her, the shapes and the textures. So she would take these skulls and collect them on her property and draw them and paint them. And that has actually, I still see tons of this kind of art in people's homes. Paintings of animal skulls. And Georgia O'Keeffe would make them beautiful. She would paint flowers above them and things like that. So today we're going to make a bull skull of an animal. And I hope you enjoy this. It's really, really fun to do. It is complex, but I'm going to try to make it really doable for all of you. And so what I need you to get, and if you don't have this, my son had a bunch of mechanical pencils, and I was using them, and I really liked it. I thought, wow, I need to make art with mechanical pencils more often. So if you have a mechanical pencil, grab it. If you have a Prisma pencil, grab it. If you have a number 2 pencil, grab it. Whatever pencil you can find, okay? Also, if you have a blending stick, that would be great. If you don't, no worries. We always can use our fingers to blend the pencil. A sharpener, if you have a mechanical pencil, you don't need one, but if you have a different kind of pencil, you might need a sharpener. And an eraser would be great. So let's get started with our bowl today, because this is going to take some time. All right, so the word I'm gonna say a lot is symmetry. So we're gonna really be doing things like what I do on one side, I'm gonna do on the other side. And we're gonna try to balance out the sketching of the outside of this skull first. And if it's a little lopsided, don't worry about it because it's hard to create symmetry, but we're gonna do our best. So let's just start in the middle of our paper and go up a little bit, about right here, because we need room for horns. This is gonna be the top of the head of my bull skull. So I'm gonna come right here in the middle of the paper, and I'm gonna create, it's gonna kind of come up. It's like a little hill, okay, up here. Okay, that's gonna be the top of my head, okay? Easy breezy. All right, let's continue on. So we're gonna come right here, and I'm gonna curve around, like so, okay? And then I'm gonna come under that, and I'm gonna make a shape like this. And it's gonna curve as well. This is where I'm gonna build the horns, all right? Now, what I do on this side, I'm gonna go on the other side, and I'm gonna curve around, and I'm gonna come under, just like I did on that side, and I'm gonna curve it around. And believe me, mine's not gonna be perfect either, so I don't want you to worry too much about things being perfect, because you know, when you worry too much about that stuff, it takes away the enjoyment of it. I don't want art to ever be frustrating for you. I want art to be fun for you, okay? So don't stress so much. So I'm gonna come right here, and I'm gonna close this part like that, okay? What I'm gonna do over here, and mine's not perfect. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna do the same thing. All right. Now I'm gonna make the horn. This is fun. So I'm gonna come out here, I'm gonna come up, and I'm gonna come down. It's sharp. It's gonna come back down. Oops, I broke my mechanical pencil. That's the hard part. If you push down too hard on them, they do break. All right, I'm gonna go on the other side. I'm gonna try to create the same horn the best I can. I notice some days I draw so much better than other days. I don't know why. It's just the energy of it. So I'm gonna come out, sharp point, and come back in like so. Alrighty. All right, so done. Now I'm gonna go down, and we're gonna go into the eye sockets. Okay, so I'm gonna come around, I'm gonna come out, and I'm gonna loop down like so, okay? See how I did that? It's kind of like that. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna come down, out, and I'm gonna loop down like so. Now these little areas right here and here are going to be my eye sockets. Now, I'm thinking of this bull. This bull roamed for years and years, and it passed, and then years of rain and storms and all that stuff has hit this animal skull. And so when I make the eye socket, we're gonna have lots of cracks in the skull. See how I'm doing it like that? Not straight at all, like cracks and things like that. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna come down like so. All right, there we go. That's gonna be our eye sockets, and you can see that. Now, we're gonna come now, we're gonna go down to the snout of the bull. So I'm gonna come out a little bit, I'm gonna come down like that. And then it really helps me if I don't go too far down. If I just go a little bit, and then I kind of try to do the same thing on the other side. And then the symmetry looks a lot better. Okay, and then we're gonna come down. It's gonna be the snout of the bull. We're gonna come around. Now we're gonna make a big crack right here, up and down. And then we're gonna bring this through. All right, so there is the foundation of what we're doing today. Now we're gonna come in and we're gonna make, see, as the skull, as the animal's flesh has come off the skull of the animal, then you're gonna see lots of creases and shapes. And this is what Georgia O'Keeffe really found interesting, the shapes that it would make. So right here, I'm gonna make my first shape. Right here, I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna make a shape like that. See that? I'm gonna go on the other side. What I do on one side, I'm gonna go and try to repeat that on the other side. There I go. All right, step one. Now let's continue on. So I'm gonna come up towards the top of the head, and this is going to be a crack right here in the skull, like so, okay? It's gonna come down about that far. Then I'm gonna come to my eye area, and I'm gonna make a crack that comes way down, all the way down to almost where those first designs are. Then I'm gonna come over here and do the same. I'm gonna come down. And I'm gonna come down like this. Okay, now I'm gonna come back. We're gonna make another shape. Come back right here. I'm gonna bring this line. It's kind of like the Picasso in a way. Not that it's anything like its style, but how we would like start and just make shapes, and then it all would kind of come together. It's kind of like that. All right, so now we have some cracks in the skull of this animal. And then I'm gonna come through here. I'm gonna just keep going. There's another one. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna have this come back up. Okay. I'm gonna create a little bit more over here. I'm gonna come through, create another kind of shape, and then I'm gonna go on the other side. I'm gonna do something similar. All right. This is where you can be very unique in it. You can add your own kind of designs right now. Like you can go and, I mean, I'm not looking at anything, so I might just kind of do my own thing with it. Okay, a couple more little areas. Also, if you want to make this more of a Southwestern kind of, there's a lot of people that do a lot with the animal skull art. They sometimes do like mandala designs on the foreheads. You can make designs above the head. Like Georgia O'Keeffe does lots of flowers. She does mountains in the background. Like you can really kind of change this a whole lot. So we're just gonna keep with this because of time, but when you go back into it, you can really, really go for it that way. All right, so now I have my mechanical pencil and I'm gonna do a lot of shading, and I'm gonna work really quickly. I'm gonna start in the eyes. And I'm gonna do something today that I wanna talk to you about. It's called cross-hatching. So cross-hatching is when you go one direction, okay? And then you go the opposite direction to layer your shading, your tones. So watch, one direction, and then I'm gonna go the opposite direction. Okay. And when I did this project, I always do the project before I teach it. I really just took a good hour to do it. All right, so I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna come into this horn. I'm gonna create some, like, before I shade it, I'm gonna create some like cracks in the horn a little bit. And then I'm gonna go with my mechanical pencil and I'm gonna go one direction. And I want the horns to be pretty dark. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do crosshatch where I build it. Okay. I'm gonna come over to this one. I'm gonna do something similar. A couple cracks. I'm gonna come one direction. And then I'm gonna come and build my tone by going in the other direction. When I teach Georgia O'Keeffe in art class, I do like to use chalk pastels to give it the real rustic look. All right, so then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go all through your piece, and I'm gonna create a few more little cracks from nature. And then I'm just gonna go and shade. Just gonna shade all through this. Okay, one direction. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. Create some cross hatching. I can also, you know, if I want some areas darkened. Now, shading is layering, right? So if I want this area right here a little darker, see how this is a little darker? I'm just like going back over that area a little bit more to create the depth of the shading. So shading takes a long time to get really good at, but the more you make art, the better you get. It's just like anything in life. The more you do something, and the more confidence you build doing that, the better you get. Okay, now I'm gonna come through here. I'm gonna create this, I'm gonna have this be a little bit lighter. So I'm just gonna run through it a little bit. Once maybe a little cross hatch up here just to add some more depth to it. Coming over in the eye area. Under, and you can shade this any way you want. Maybe you have the Prisma pencil and it, you know, you're gonna practice in it. So I continue on. One thing I was thinking about today, when I was, you know, looking at Georgia O'Keeffe and thinking about life in general, I was really thinking about that life is really just a journey for all of us. And there's a lot of different like paths and things you can do in this life that lead you to who you become and to give you your story in life. So it's just really interesting how like it can be sometimes just one person you meet in life. Like Georgia O'Keeffe had a friend that introduced her to that art dealer that got her career started. But as long as you're following your dreams and you're doing good work and you have a lot of good interests, you just keep working at it and let life lead you the way, because it really will take you in all kinds of fun and interesting paths and a lot of success. So enjoy it, enjoy that, you know. Like I've always done art, and it's brought me to all kinds of places. I've met so many different people. I've actually had different careers in art already. Art teaching is not my first career, but it's been fun. My whole young life has been fun. Just because I love what I do, and I So you love what you do, it's really gonna bring you a lot of joy. So remember that. All right, so now I'm gonna just darken a few areas. And once again, make this your own. Enjoy the shading process. At this point, this is where I would probably get my blending stick. And I would go, or your finger, whatever you have. I would go and I would enjoy blending out some of these pencil tones. I like the look of the crosshatch. I like the texture that it gives, so I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep so you can see the directions changing. And when you're younger, sometimes it can look like scribble, but the more you practice it, the better you get. All right, so there we go. Today's piece, Georgia O'Keeffe inspired bull skull. I hope you enjoy making this and keep making art. I'm really proud of you guys. Have a great week. Take care.